At stage. All right.
Oh, of course.
Um, is there a bigger way of doing this? Probably not.
I doubt.
Hmm. Hi. I guess we're live. Are we live?
We
Yeah,
are
we're
live.
live.
We're live.
All right, cool. Well, first of all, sorry we started like 30 minutes,
35 minutes late.
35 minutes late. We are at. Oops, that doesn't work like this.
Yeah.
We are at KubeCon. We are hoping you can hear us fine because we didn't do any test. We just arrived at the conference. There's a snowstorm right there.
Snowstorm.
This is fun.
Yep.
We're at the WASMCon co-located event at KubeCon. And Shiva, you're going to be here for
I'll be here for the entire conference
the
till
entire
Friday.
conference.
Yeah.
And I'm leaving in a couple hours to go to the Boulder Java user group and then the Denver Java user group.
Yep.
So yeah, cool. How was your experience yesterday?
It is really good. I mean, since I've been attending a lot of the Cloud Native WebAssembly days, this is my first WasmCon. So at KubeCon, the way that WebAssembly kind of got really or started to pick up was at the Cloud Native WebAssembly Day, which is part of the co-located events, which is essentially so KubeCon is a 3-day event, which usually starts on like Wednesday, and then before that they have one day of co-located events, which runs parallelly. They have multiple tracks, like you'll have ArgoCon. It's mostly all of the major projects within the Cloud Native ecosystem. So that's how the WebAssembly conference started off. But now they have a standalone event which is called as WasmCon. This is a 2-day. Sorry,
No,
this is a 2-day event.
testing the sound just to
Testing.
make sure that this works and
Yeah.
it works.
So now with WasmCon, it's like a 2-day event and it's really great because I think what we have seen is that WebAssembly has really matured as a technology, whereas earlier most of the sessions, like probably even a year back, were how do you run WebAssembly inside of Kubernetes. But now we saw like yesterday, American Express literally built on an entire internal developer platform powered by WebAssembly.
Yeah, it was cool. Yeah,
That was really cool.
Yeah, it's yeah, it's impressive. It was my first KubeCon, my first WasmCon
Yeah.
attending, and I was amazed by the maturity level of people. I thought we were a little too early on the WASM, but
Yeah.
apparently no. I mean, of course, at WASMCon you will find the people that are the most advanced in the way they manage
Absolutely.
WebAssembly. But yeah, it's. I was just talking about this on Blue Sky. It's amazing how people know here. They know that WASM is the future of deployments, and they know it's the unit of deployments in different scenario, whether it's running plugins, whether it's
Or extensibility.
function as a service or different runtime at the edge. There's a company doing
Midokura.
AI at the edge.
Yeah.
Midokura, yeah. That was amazing. Did you watch the demo?
Yes.
So what's the
I mean, so in fact, like they had one demo which is not here, which is at Wasm.io in Barcelona in March,
Yeah.
where they were running. They had a computer vision camera which is being powered by WebAssembly, so the inference was being done by that, and it is basically tracking cars on a track. So the cars were basically automatically following the track with the help of computer vision. So they had a sensor, so automated lane detection. They had like a small demo, which is again being powered by WebAssembly. So computer
at
vision.
the edge, there's no cloud involved or anything.
Yeah, no cloud involved. So it was using a AI camera which is being powered by. So the inference AI inference was being done by WebAssembly. So it is like again, it's one of the use cases where if you're able to get your WebAssembly module for AI inferencing, you can run it across different kind of edge architectures, which is one of the hardest things to pull off, because like whether you talk about x64, x86, or even if you go even more lower level than that, it's like being able to support different kind of architectures is one thing that if you look at a standard PyTorch model, it will probably struggle. Even with the Onyx models, like you have to make some sort of adjustments to make it run on different kind of architectures. It's like that's where Midokura is doing really well with like using it on a Raspberry AI camera, which I didn't even know that there is a specialized Raspberry
For
device
camera, yeah.
for AI.
Was it the Raspberry Zero or the no? It was a
Yeah, so they had the Raspberry Pi Zero, but they also had a specialized Raspberry AI
Okay.
camera that came out just like 2-3 months back.
okay.
So you can directly just, I
Cool.
think it has
Yeah, we have to try that.
Yes, definitely. With Couchbase Lite. Like
Yeah.
that would be good.
That'd be rad.
Mhm.
Right. So I also had a workshop yesterday, which
Yes.
is why I'm here.
Yes.
It was how to build a. I'm trying to remember the exact title. Native database driver There is for Wasm that I made with Victor Darcy from Cosmonic. Cosmonic is a company behind Wasm Cloud, and Wasm Cloud is I think they don't like when we say it's a function as a service, because function as a service is loaded with history of well, people think it's Amazon Lambdas basically, which is it's absolutely not. Like, you're not running container, you're running Wasm binaries, which is completely different. I had the same problem when I was working for Clever Cloud. We were a platform as a service, and like, platform as a service was Heroku in 2012. Nobody cares about platform as a service anymore. But the reality is, every platform have the same abstraction level than platform as a service. So anyway, it's Wasm Cloud is a great way to run function.
And I think, like, in a way, like, platform as service is probably hot again because of the platform engineering boom.
Absolutely.
So I think, like, the classic example what Ritesh from American Express they covered in their talk was building that platform where. So I think, like, one of the biggest concerns that people usually have is that, do I need to learn Wasm? Do I need to learn about with definitions?
It seems complicated.
But the major use case for most of these companies is the fact that they're not really like, if you talk about even Wasm Cloud, you talk about Fermion, it's not really about showing how people can leverage WebAssembly, but it's like they build platforms that are powered by WebAssembly, but people don't even have to know that there is WebAssembly in play. So whether it's like building the extensions, extensibility, so I think, like, that's one of the key reasons how we are seeing WebAssembly as evolve. That you don't even know that there is WebAssembly being involved.
That talk was amazing. I think that's one of the best talk I saw yesterday. They've been filmed. I'm sure they'll be available on YouTube at some point. And that was a fantastic talk. And so American Express was there because they are using Wasm Cloud. They also got this customer, which is how we got to know about Wasm Cloud. And the Cosmonic people came to us and asked, like, we'd like to build a database driver for Couchbase for Wasm Cloud. And so we started doing the work with the folks at American Express, with some people on Discord. So thanks for that for the contributors. Thanks, Jonathan. And then we had that driver. We had that workshop yesterday. I think it went reasonably well. We used Gitpod to run the workshop, which means that all of you can redo that workshop. It's pretty easy. So Gitpod is an online IDE. I saw they have a booth somewhere at the co-located event in the developer space, I think. It's a massive conference.
And I might probably just try to see if I can find Victor's GitHub repository.
So it's Vados Cosmonic, and you should find the KubeCon. You can probably share it with everybody. And so the way it works, there's a Gitpod button. You just click on the Gitpod button. It's going to open. So Gitpod will open basically a VS Code in a tab of your browser. It's going to pull a Docker image. Everything's going to run that Docker image. It's a custom-made Docker image that contains Wasm Cloud and Couchbase and everything that you need to start hacking. And so basically you have half-ready driver, and there's a couple to-dos that you need to implement. So you can give it a try yourself. And
in fact, the workshop will also be recorded, so we'll make sure to probably update this particular live stream with the link to the workshop.
Absolutely. So that went well. We did an event yesterday evening, which was full of people. So that was really cool. We did an AI and app. Was it AI and modern app?
Yeah, and modern
events. Trying to invite most of the people at WasmCon to join us for just a conversation, some food, some drinks to talk about Wasm, AI, Couchbase, and mostly have fun.
There I actually met Dan. So he's basically from this company called Loophole Labs. So
Loophole Labs,
I'm not sure if you might have met Shivansh from their company in either one of the DevOps.
Loophole Labs rings a bell. I'm not sure why.
So they basically provide you the capability of having a zero time Kubernetes transfer. Like, if you're they'll never have any zero time at all when you're doing some sort of transfer of your Kubernetes cluster.
You mean zero downtime?
Zero downtime. Zero downtime. So they are primarily a Kubernetes platform company, but they do use WebAssembly. And in fact, like, they were one of the first companies that were providing they had a project, I forgot the name of the project, but they were providing function as service with WebAssembly, and they could basically deploy it on multiple edge clusters. And again, the fun fact, like, like how we have XCR inside of Couchbase, which means that whatever data cluster or database cluster which is nearest to your geographic location, it will spin up the database cluster over there. Similarly, they would basically create an edge function nearest to your geographic location, and they were using WebAssembly. So not only it's having very low latency, but it's also very quick, because the great thing about WebAssembly is that as soon as you instantiate a WebAssembly module, you run the inference or whatever function you are calling, it immediately kills the WebAssembly module. So you can essentially then spin up thousands or
Yeah.
multitudes of different.
It's very lightweight. It's I mean, we can talk about this. So WebAssembly runs on a WebAssembly runtime, whereas most people would run something package as a container.
Yeah.
And in container, you have the whole system, you have the dependencies, and then you have the code. So that's pretty heavy. And then when you run it, you need to start the system. I mean, the first process of the system. Whereas WASM, it's just a binary that is bytecode that's interpreted by the WASM runtime. And there's a variety of WASM runtimes. Some are dedicated to extended applications, some dedicated to Edge, some dedicated to running function. I mean, it's and it's just the beginning. It's probably going to be more. They all follow the what's the name of the interface? Not the interface. Is it WASI?
Yeah.
The WASI standards. Yes.
WASI standards.
Yeah, I mean, not all of them, but most of them are compatible with WASI. So yeah, you should. It's a booming ecosystem. I was like, everybody was talking about the different WASM tool I didn't know, but it's booming. It's not as bad as AI right now, but it is booming.
And I think like one unique thing about this particular conference is that while we are at KubeCon technically, it is still a more WebAssembly specific conference. That means that there are people from Google who are talking about how WebAssembly is going to be used at Google. So they have a session today. In fact, like they had a session at WASM.io as well, and it is so well received because Google itself is using WebAssembly not only in the browser. They use like WebGPU in Chrome, but they're using it for like using it a lot of other services as well. So they have a session. Then there are people who are using it for doing like rendering on the browser or even on edge devices. So using like WebGPU and WebAssembly together. So it's very open. Like there are use cases for running WebAssembly on Kubernetes, but on edge, on function as service, on the browser. So it's a very well-rounded off conference.
It's you mentioned that Google was using it. I had a brief chat with the Bytecode Alliance. They have a booth there, so I took someone, and I thought Amazon was in the Bytecode Alliance because they wanted to do cloud, but actually they're not doing cloud. They're doing embedded. The WASM is in the Fire TV or whatever. Fire TV. I mean the TV stick.
The TV stick.
It's embedded, right? It's embedded. WASM is following the path of Java 25 years ago, 25 years ago, 20 years ago, I don't know, 20 probably. Java was made for running applet in the browser, and WebAssembly was made to make the browser experience richer and better, and both of them escape the browser to do different things. And so there was a point where if you wanted to do embed or real-time hardware, you could use Java. They had a special Java runtime for that.
What was it called?
I don't remember. It was a smaller version of Java. It would run like it could run on a watch or like, but that was mostly experiments. I know there was a bunch of industries that followed that route, and at the same time, of course, Java got big on the server. And if you look at WASM right now, it's running in the browser, and then you have different runtimes. Some are better to do Edge, some are better to do
And I know like here, a lot of people. Like Golang is specifically very massive in the.
Oh yeah, there was a bunch of maintainer of TinyGo.
So I have had the opportunity to meet with Roy Evans, who is one of the creators of TinyGo, and he does a lot of WebAssembly experimentation. So at WASM.io, he was basically controlling an entire drone. So in his live presentation, he was controlling like a toy drone with his remote control that was basically being powered by WebAssembly. So he's like communicating with a Bluetooth. So the Bluetooth is not like powered by WebAssembly, but the actions. So like he had basically mapped each and every button on his controller to a specific WebAssembly binary.
Nice.
So like for example, if it said put like it should fly up, it would basically he would hit that button and it will spin up a WebAssembly module in TinyGo, and it will run that execute that the server should move up. So I mean, like that is
You know what we
that
should
is-
do? There's I mean, you play keyboard, right?
Yes, yes, yes.
Do you know MIDI?
Yeah, MIDI.
The MIDI,
Yes.
and so there's a bunch of library that allow you to hook MIDI events
Hmm.
on something. So you could run binary.
Yeah.
You could run binary on with a MIDI
Exactly.
keyboard.
Like we can map it. Every key press can be
Yeah,
mapped to a
yeah.
WebSync module, and because it's so quick that it's in real time, almost in
Yeah,
real time.
almost. Yeah.
Yeah. Rather than
that's
running a single long process that you are running for
Hmm.
an entire like 1 hour, it's also much more effective to just
That's a
map.
cool experiment.
Hmm.
We should
And
try
in fact, like
to-
it's literally like a switch statement. So when
Yeah.
we saw the code, it's like a switch statement that if you're pressing the button,
Yeah.
it will run Wasm module A. It's not even very hard to accomplish. So if you kind of map out your entire keyboard, you could just have like a really massive switch statement where every key press is uniquely ident to a unique WebAssembly module. And
That'd be fun. There's
Yeah.
there's plenty of interesting things to do. Because it's so small as well, so
Yes,
you could
so
be
small
embedded
as
in the Raspberry Pi Zero that
Exactly.
that Midokuri is using.
Yeah.
So many possibilities. Cool. So that's KubeCon. It's a co-located event, and as you said, Wasm is big.
Yes.
Like there's a bunch of co-located events for a variety of topics, but the only one that had its own 3-day conference was WasmCon.
And actually, so the reason behind that was that earlier WasmCon was supposed to be scheduled in June of this year, but then they later realized that okay, like it's just better to merge it. But I think
Yeah.
moving forward, they will
They'll keep doing
run it.
this.
Yeah, they'll keep doing this. But yeah, I mean, in its whole, I think because the ecosystem is still maturing, like it deserves its own event.
Try to.
Yeah.
Let's go.
We have been cutting off for a while.
Yeah, it's a bit hard. So cool, KubeCon. So that's going on. You'll be there for the whole week.
Yep.
I'm leaving to Boulder to talk to the Java user group about AI and agents
Oh, nice.
tonight and tomorrow. There's a repo on my GitHub if you guys want to take a look. It's I'm using NewShell. NewShell is what we use for Couchbase Shell. There's a bunch of blog posts that we've published about this.
Yeah.
Couchbase Shell is the CLI tool that allows you to interact with Couchbase. The particularity of NewShell is everything that goes in and out. If it's a structured data, it would be handled as a data frame. So whatever you have that looks like structured data can be manipulated. And guess what looks like structured data and equal to a model or a model API like OpenAI or Llama, all those things. So basically what I did is I built my own framework, maybe a good too much of a term. It's just a bunch of scripts, like my personal .files that I use to have my own AI agents running on my laptop without writing Python, because I don't like Python.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that writing Bash or NewShell is a better idea. It's just I feel more comfortable doing
More
this.
comfortable.
And
No, I have a strong inclination towards Python.
yeah, I know. Well, so the thing is, most of the people that use Python to do those kind of things, what they do is they do the exact same thing. They will offload most of the interesting things to another API, a model, or OpenAI. So it's basically a girl, and then they will maintain some sort of history, some sort of state, which you can also do with a shell. And that's it really. So, and of course, well, the good thing you can do with Python, which is harder with Shell, is that you can
Have like
it's
a
easier
good
to
UI.
do- I mean, you can have a UI first.
Yeah.
I mean, there's some pretty decent terminal UI,
Totally, yeah,
TUI. I was just talking about this with the Wasm Cloud guys. They talked about their open telemetry support, and there's one thing I really like about open telemetry. There's a project called Hotel Desktop Viewer, and it's basically your own observability stack running on your desktop. So it's just an in-memory database that will store you
All of your
use as a
traces.
you use it as endpoint. It just and it's just a web page in a web server. But some people did a TUI version of this, so it just runs on the terminal,
Nice.
which is
Nice.
it's a nice UI. But anyway, no, what the really cool thing you can do with an actual programming language, not just a scripting language, is it's easier to do loops and it's easier to do graph. I mean, of course, NewShell has functions. You can have recursivity, you can have a whole bunch of things, but yeah, those things are maybe a little bit easier.
In fact, like when I got to try out Noodle more extensively with our Rust meetup that we conducted in Bangalore last month, I think like it's very powerful for sure. Like especially the piping functionality just
Yes,
makes your life super easy.
but that's the thing that's easier for me is that most of the Python script I've seen to do AI, they most of the time they call also process,
Yes, the other
and so you need to handle the process output in your Python code.
Yeah.
And I don't want to do that. And the good thing about using the shell directly, that's it's made for that. It just
made
works.
for
It's
that.
just it feels natural to compose
Yeah.
calls, function calls, and API calls and CLI calls with an agent.
Absolutely.
Plus, it has access to everything on your hard drive, so which is a good and a bad thing.
Yeah.
So instead of running everything, I have a prompt that do you want to execute that tool? Because agent use tool now,
they
and
use
so
tools.
so I always ask before if
In
I
fact,
want
like
to execute that tool.
one of the companies that I met yesterday is so my friend Aishika. They are basically now one of the lead developer advocates of this company called that's Toolhouse.
Toolhouse, okay.
.ai. So they essentially allow you to run. So like for example, you're doing an LLM call. Now you can basically create your own tool where you can do an external function call with Toolhouse. So for example, if you want to schedule an automated mail, so with Toolhouse you can define that okay, send this automated mail to someone. So it's like not necessarily directly like an AI agent, but you can define external functions that extend the functionality because like with LLM they will generate a text-based response. But if you want to do like a follow-up action, you can use Toolhouse. So they have a lot of integrations with vector databases with LLMs. So you can essentially like very similar to function composition. You can compose your further actions based on the output that you get either from your RAG or from just a simple LLM call. So like that's probably something similar where you are asking the agent to perform a certain action. So you give that prompt to them, and then they can automatically execute that task based on what you have given them as like that particular prompt. So it's pretty interesting, like how the AI tooling in that community
And
is
it's changing so
yes,
fast.
It's changing pretty fast.
Yeah, it's what anything we're doing now is probably going to be useless in 3 months.
Probably.
So
But that's like
Uh,
being on the cutting edge of technology.
yeah,
Some things will probably still stick.
yeah, but you have to do it. You have to follow. You have to do the process of learning all those things if you want to catch up and if you want to. Because
And I
if you
think-
don't, then there's a mountain of things to learn.
Exactly. Yeah. Because I feel like even if you talk about just the algorithms behind vector search, like okay, most database companies are leveraging it, but if you talk about like the fire algorithm, which is by Facebook, like they have had it for almost 10-15 years, ever since they started to basically use it for their internal AI models that used to basically connect people on Facebook based on their shared likes and interests, right? So we are now using those similar principles of KNN, primarily like cosine similarity, with core algorithms which have always stayed, but now they're just seeing a new form where like you're storing your data in these hyper specialized databases with long vectors, but the idea behind them has always been there. So I think ultimately, like if you focus on those fundamentals, like fundamentals of like WebAssembly, yes, it might take up shapes of different things, but fundamentally, like you have strong knowledge of that, you can very easily then be part of the growing pack of those upcoming technologies. I think like because fundamentally we're not really introducing anything new. Like even
No.
today, most LLMs are based on a transformer architecture, which are based
Yeah.
on neural networks. So
It is nothing new.
Yeah.
It is. I think everybody got hooked by the chat use case where it feels like you're talking to a human, so it feels amazing and new, but it's really not. It's just the auto completion of your keyboard much better.
Yeah.
Much
So
better.
that is like
So-
one of the talks that I'm really looking for from Ralph. He basically heads the entire program team at Microsoft Azure. So they are doing, of course, a bunch of stuff with Bytecode Alliance and the SpinCube project. So they're doing a lot of things. So their team basically came up with this project called as Hyperlane, which essentially what it does is that it can very easily create like a small process, like how you create a process inside of a VM. It will basically spin up a really mini VM in a matter of like a few I think milliseconds, but it only runs a single process. So of course, like it will not have access to file systems or networks, but you can at least execute some compute. So it's a similar kind of architecture to WebAssembly, that you have this like really stripped down version of a technology. So like we are seeing, oh, finally we saw someone. So Meme Technology says nice. Well, hi Meme. I hope I'm pronouncing that name correctly.
Right. Cool. Which is great to see some people, but I think
Yeah.
we'll leave it to. Well, we have to close down in 3 minutes.
3 minutes.
All right, because I have another call. Because why not? All right. What else is going on? So next week is going to be a little bit special because we'll be with Ben. Ben is at RubyConf right now in Chicago, and so if you're interested in everything Ruby, Ben Greenberg will be there representing Couchbase.
Yeah.
We are organizing the RubyConf Hack Day.
Hack Day.
Organizing, so it's a strong word, we're sponsoring it.
Yeah.
And so we'll be encouraging people to build with Couchbase, with our Ruby SDK, and have our we have an
ORM.
active records integration, our ORM for Rails.
Yeah.
So that's cool. So thanks, Ben. He's traveling right now, and that's why he cannot be with us. But we would have
Otherwise,
loved to.
the title would have been DevRel at US conference.
Yes. So the whole team is in the US. We'll meet each other next week. It's exciting.
Yeah.
And we'll do a different stream, I think.
And
next week.
I know, like a lot of people were very excited about our SaaS building stream. So
Yes.
that is something
So
that will be coming.
is coming.
Yeah.
Not today. Not
today.
next week. I mean, we could actually talk about this next week. Let's
Yeah.
see. We were still unsure. But yeah. And I remember the last time it was you and Ben, and you asked about
What people should build.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Have you heard
No.
anything? No.
We have to do
Right.
that.
So we're gonna build a SaaS.
Yeah.
We have some ideas. If you have other ideas, we'd love to hear them. If there's I don't know a mandatory feature you'd like to see in the software as a service example, please let us know. Right now we are aiming at least having a way of managing users, authentication, authorization, managing payment, because basically that's the whole point.
Yeah.
And then features. We need to talk about features. We need to actually sell something. And so all right. What else do we have going on? You'll be here for a week.
Yep.
I'll be in Boulder tonight. I'll be in Denver tomorrow. Java user group would be great to see you all if you're around. And then you can find Shive at the conference.
At the conference, yes.
Not just the co-located event, but
At
KubeCon as well.
Yeah.
And you have a couple talks today.
Yeah. So I have one today with ArgoCon. So it's around like how you can use the Fabric K8s SDK for Java. So it's basically a Fabric K8s client, which allows you to run Kubernetes clusters directly in Java. So how you can use them with Argo workflows. So using Kubernetes clients in Java to orchestrate your Argo workflows. So Argo workflows is like, how you have like CI/CD with Argo CD.
Yeah.
So like Argo workflows, you can basically create like DSLs, which allow you to automate your tasks. So whether like it's primarily used a lot for AI workloads. If you want to run your AI workloads as an entire workflow, so you can use Argo workflows. So I have that, and then I'm actually running what we call as a Contrifest, which is a really unique aspect of KubeCon. So basically, for a period of 4 hours, contributors come and they contribute to open source projects from the CNCF ecosystem. So I'm going to be helping mentor, and since I'm a maintainer for this project called as Meshri, which is a service mesh interface, so I'll be mentoring new contributors on Thursday for a period of like 4 hours. So that'll be very interesting.
Awesome.
Yeah.
All right, cool. That's it for today. We hope you will. I don't know if it's is it stream? If it's any stream, people can see KubeCon stream or.
I'm not sure if they're doing live streams, but definitely right after the conference they do publish the talks.
So hopefully you can all follow along even with a little delay.
Yeah.
And yes, we'll see everybody. We'll see all of you next week from our headquarters in Santa Clara. Looking forward to it. And with that, have a wonderful rest of your day.
Thank you.
Cheers.
All right.
Bye.
Bye.